So the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Roll call.
Councilmember Caldwell Wagner.
Excused, I'm sorry.
Councilmember Grove. Here. Fitzpatrick.
Here.
Randall.
Here.
Walker.
Here.
Patrick. Here. Mayor Cramblett.
Here. Additions or amendments to the agenda?
None, Your Honor.
We're going to move the presentation up to the.
Yes.
So we're going to move the presentation, the audit presentation, up to the public hearing area. Okay, adoption of the consent agenda, which is the approval of February 25th, 2019 City Council minutes and ratification of the bills in the amount of $260,557.69.
I move to adopt the consent agenda.
Second.
Move to second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, so we're gonna do our audit presentation.
Thank you for moving me up, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. I'm Tanya Moffett, and I am the partner on the City of Cascade Blocks financial audit. So I'm happy to present the June 30, 2018 financial statements, and we had a clean opinion or an unmodified opinion, which is the highest level of opinion that we can give on a set of financial statements for the City of Cascade Blocks. When we asked for information, we received whatever information we asked for in a very timely manner, so it makes our job a lot easier when we come out here and we have full access to any of the departments or any of the things that we specifically ask for. It's definitely very helpful. One thing to note is that the Oregon State Legislature has some specific things that they want us to look at. So they have us look at Oregon budget law. They have us look at ORS 279, which is public purchasing laws. So they have some specific things that they ask us to look at when we're doing a financial audit in the state of Oregon, and it's an Oregon-specific report. And when we did that, there was only one thing that came to our attention, and the electric fund had a deficit, or two things, sorry, had a deficit fund balance of $21,000, which is not very much, and then the water fund had over expenditures of $218, which is a very minor amount. That usually happens when an invoice comes in after the fact, and so it's very difficult because you can only change the budget up to June 30, and so if an invoice comes in after the fact, you can't change it, fix it. If you don't know about what invoices are out there, you don't always get those. So having a minor budget violations like that are just little tiny things. But I'm happy to report that's the only thing that we came across during the audit were those two little tiny things. I'm also happy to report that the financial statements were, there is a new pronouncement in here, and the city implemented that very well. So it's GASB 75, which is other post-employment healthcare benefits. So if we don't know exactly how long a vehicle is going to last or a building is going to last, because sometimes they last longer than we estimate, or sometimes they last a shorter period of time. So that's an estimate in the financial statements. That's an estimate based off of historical information and useful lives that the city has selected. But with the net pension liability and the net OPEB liability, those are numbers that come from an actuary. So the city's not making up those numbers. They're numbers that are coming from somebody who, like, that's what they do for their job, to figure those numbers out for the city. So that's the city's financial statements. I didn't have anything that I was concerned about on the financial statements. Everything was appropriate and everything was recorded appropriately there. One thing I'd also like to note is that the city had a single audit, and what that means is that anytime that the city receives over $750,000 of federal funds, so federal money, then the city is required to have a single audit. And so the city had a single audit, and there were no findings on the single audit, which is actually really impressive since the city hasn't had a single audit for a while. because you haven't received that high amount of federal funds recently. And so to have a clean opinion and no findings on a single audit is really difficult to have. A lot of our clients that even have single audits all the time, they have findings, and the city had no findings on the single audit. So that's a great report as well. Does anybody have any questions for me on the financial statements or on the single audit?
Could we discuss the electrical?
The electrical? Yes.
It was 21,000,
Yeah.
although it's a very low number when you compare it to the percentage of what's in the electrical. Is there any opinion of possibilities that could have happened?
So it was just, there were some extenuating circumstances that happened there, the 21,000. And that's just a budgetary fund balance. So it just means that the revenues were less than what the expenditures were there. But the city fully anticipates making up that deficit balance in the next fiscal year for June 30, 2019.
So it's projection that we fell short of.
There were some additional costs.
Yeah, we had a couple of issues. Because we had a mild winter last year, we didn't get the revenue that we had anticipated. But we still spent up to the budget, so the balance was negative. We're watching that closer this year, where we now have a much more positive balance, $164,000 in cash in that account. So we've overcome the negative.
And the budget's over just over $2 million. Is not, in comparison of the total amount, that's not very much.
We watch every dollar, but in accounting terms, it's not significant.
I understand, but to me, 20,000 is a lot of money.
Oh, it is not.
Thank you.
Any additional questions?
Bruce, did you have any questions?
No, I'd just like to thank everybody on the staff for keeping such a good audit. But no, it sounds great. Thank you.
And we were